What on earth is going wrong in the 21st century when a case like Arthur Labinjo-Hughes is making headlines?
Well, and what's going wrong at the moment is that we're less able to protect children than we were before. And children have died before. Amongst all the children that we're trying to watch out for, it's sometimes difficult to spot the ones that really are in serious difficulty in being abused in the way that poor little Arthur was. But it's got more difficult now because we have less time to do it and less time to work across the different agencies, different professions to find out what's going on. I'm really worried about it.
But why is that? Why do we seem to have less time, less resources, less care for little children who are suffering such extreme abuse?
Yeah, well, I totally agree. And I've given more than 50 years of my professional life to trying to protect children and to help families care for their children well. And it's worse now than it has been certainly for the last 10, 15 years because of the big cuts that have been made in services. And I'm not just talking about social work. I'm a social worker, but I'm not just talking about social work. I'm talking about health visiting. I'm talking about policing. I'm talking about the difficulty in recruiting, retaining community paediatricians, those specialist doctors. And over the last 10 years, since 2010, so more than 10 years now, and all of those public services have been shrunk, cut back. And at the same time, more families are getting into difficulty. I know in relation to Arthur, this is not about poverty. But for some families, it is about poverty and caring for their children well. And, they're getting into more difficulty and we have less time and less resource to help them.
How many Arthurs are there likely to be out there, do you think? I mean, this is a case that has shocked the country into silence, stunned most people in the UK. But I read estimates from the NSPCC that there's an estimate. Of course, the records cannot be so comprehensively kept that we know this to be a final number, but they estimate about 63 children every year. And those are under 15s are being killed by those who are supposed to protect them. I mean, would you put the number higher than that?
No, it's about that number in terms of the children being killed. But of course, there's a larger number who are being injured, seriously harmed, suffering all the pain and horrors of neglect, who don't necessarily go on to die and become known in the way that Arthur has and what Arthur's life was like. So it's a larger number. If you want some numbers, there's over 400,000 children at any one time known to children's social services and social workers. Within that number, there's about 52,000 at any one time that are subject to what are called child protection plans, where there's serious concerns about the safety and welfare of those children. And those plans are created between doctors, health visitors, teachers, social workers, police officers, etc., to monitor and to try and make sure that those children are okay. So that's over 50,000. In any one year, we are now initiating over 200,000 child protection investigations. If we go back to 2008, 2009, it was about 89,000 a year. It's now over 200,000 child protection investigations newly initiated each year. That's 550 each working day, including Saturdays and Sundays, and every day of the year, 365 days. So there's a lot of activity, a lot of concern, but we don't necessarily now have the time and the capacity to do the job we need to do. Find out what's happening within families, really stick with it, make sure that we pull together the information across the different people who might know that family, and think the unthinkable about what might be happening when we're not there.
Do you think that there is a peak in the number of children now at risk? And is there something going on societally, or is this simply about a system that is no longer being able to operate under the strain?
Well, I think if you greater poverty, more stress and strain for parents, increasing homelessness, then more children are going to be a cause for concern because they're not getting the care and the parenting that they need. And that has been happening since 2010. Put alongside that the help for those parents when they get into difficulty, like through Shore Start and Family Centres, for example, through youth services for teenagers and adolescents, those have all been cut back extremely tightly as well, so that we have less resource at a time when more families are struggling.